on to our action items, which is number 12 on our agendas. And the first one is the resolution and recognition of Clerk Dreyfus. There's a resolution in your packet, and I would ask Trustee Sutherland if she would be interested in reading that for us.
Yes, I would. Okay, so Clerk Dreyfus. Whereas the Meridian Township Board wishes to thank Township Clerk Dreyfus for his 12 years of service on the Township Board, and whereas Clerk Dreyfus served the residents of Meridian Township as Township Clerk from 2012 to 2020, and whereas Clerk Dreyfus also served the residents of Meridian Township as Township Trustee from 2008 to 2012, and whereas Clerk Dreyfus leaves office as the ranking member of the Township Board, and whereas prior to his tenure in elected office, Clerk Dreyfus volunteered his time as an active member of the Meridian Township Zoning Board of Appeals and Planning Commission, and whereas we fondly remember Clerk Dreyfus' efforts to provide an exceptional Memorial Day service at Glendale Cemetery, and whereas Brett Dreyfus, as a member of the Meridian Board, ardently advocated for land use policies consistent with his vision of smart township growth, whereas Clerk Dreyfus advocated to maintain the rural quality of the eastern portion of the township and for the adoption of the urban services boundary, whereas the entire Meridian Township community joins us this evening in acknowledging and appreciating Clerk Dreyfus in his 16 years of public service to our 43,424 residents, and now, therefore, be it resolved by the Township Board of the Township of Meridian, Hingham County, Michigan, that Meridian Township commemorates Brett Dreyfus and celebrates his many contributions to the community. And yes, we want to thank you so much, Brett, for serving.
Is that a motion then to adopt that stuff?
Yes, that is a motion to adopt. Oh.
No, that's right. Just say for that. That's fine. Is there a second?
Flip it over.
That's right. Is there a second?
Support.
Followed by Ms. Jackson. All right. Any discussion? Well, I will say that I have served with Clerk Dreyfus now for 8 years, and I know that he is a very tenacious advocate for his positions, and I appreciate that. I think he's represented his positions extremely well. Even if he's not always in the majority, he presents his arguments cogently and well, and he'll be missed in that regard. Thank you for your service, Brett. Thank you very much. Mr. Dreyfus.
Thank you. Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. I held off on making any comments during public comment or board member comments, so I can just take a couple of minutes briefly to give some thanks and appreciation at this moment. So thank you for the opportunity to do this. First, thank you for this recognition resolution. I appreciate that. It does mean a lot to me, and I thank you for presenting this and for presenting it to me. Just I have a couple of different things to say here. I'm not going to try to go into any long list of things that I've been involved in. I just wanted to highlight a couple of few key things that I would like to leave the community with and leave the board and anybody here listening with this final message. First and foremost, it was my pleasure and an honor, personal honor, to be able to serve the residents and citizens of Meridian Township over the past 20 years. Yes, it did start a long time ago, back in 1999, when I was a planner of the Planning Commission, and I was also involved in the Zoning Board. Then I was eventually elected to the Township Board as a trustee in 2008. By 2012, I didn't think I was necessarily going to continue on with things, but it did. The way timing in life works, we all seen this on the political level. Politics has a lot to do with timing, things that you have control over and things you don't have control over. And life did take a wonderful turn and an opportunity to serve as clerk starting in 2012, the first Democrat elected clerk in 60 in 60 years, 6-0. Pretty amazing, and it was exciting. And the last 8 years has been very, very interesting, intense, exciting, disappointing. A whole range of emotions comes with being in this role. Lots of them. But overall, a person is left with a feeling of satisfaction, a feeling of general happiness, a feeling of contentment that when a person puts forth their best effort, it can actually fall on the right ears. It can resonate with people. And some of my message resonated with people who often felt like they didn't have a voice in government, that people who never really dealt with the government before, the township, and they had a development issue. Something in their neighborhood went awry. They had a problem or an issue, and when they contacted me, it was very gratifying to try to help them. Most of the time successful, not always, but much of the time successful. And when that wasn't successful, we're able to commiserate and help serve to empathize and understand with community members' needs and desires and problems and issues. All of that has helped me, and I was really grateful to be in a role to be able to help people integrate and reaffirm their belief in government. Sometimes people had a real disbelief in local government, and I believe I helped to reaffirm some people's trust back in local government. But my constituency went beyond people. When I first ran in 1990, ran in 2008, I went around on an electric scooter. People didn't even know what those were back in 2008. A little scooter. And I made a point of saying, being environmental is more than recycling. So one of my key constituencies was life forms that could not vote. They were not people in my community, but among the most valuable assets that are not people in Meridian Township. And that's protecting and safeguarding the precious ecosystems, the green space, the floodplains, the wetlands, the natural areas that are precious and have to be safeguarded forever. That's the inheritance that we can give our children and our grandchildren in the community, and it's something that sets us apart. It's one of our unique placemaking features, which is why I'm thrilled to be a part of the original land preservation program group back in 2000, when it was first put together in 1999 and 2000. The Planning Commission was involved in helping to get that formulated, and I was so excited back then. I knew I was in the right community because I'd been here since 1995. I said, this is a place with forward thinkers. To have one of the only land preservation programs in the state of Michigan, Meridian Township Special, and I was so excited to be a part of that. That helped to fuel my passion, was help protect the environment. The other area was mentioned earlier, the urban services boundary. Everyone knows that. It's almost a joke, like John Feenstra, the former trustee, and his LED lights. You mentioned the urban services boundary. It was fairly synonymous with me because I was a big advocate for that as a tool to try to control development and protect and preserve the eastern third of our township for the same reasons, for a long-term sustainability, placemaking, and quality of life for all of our residents to enjoy. I'm very proud to be the chief election administrator for the past 8 years. And one of my chief accomplishments is not just, for example, this election was the most complicated elections in history, in Meridian history. And by the way, getting it certified, I didn't want to make a big deal, but we actually made it fully recountable, and it's good to go all the way through. So I didn't go through a 5-minute list of all the amazing things that we did in order to make sure that we had that election certified and good to go. But I'm super proud of the team to have that done. But what I'm really proud of for myself personally is fighting for expanded absentee voting, which I did from the moment I took office. In fact, in the communications office, Ms. Guthrie herself has interviewed me numerous times on one of the things I was really trying to achieve as clerk back in 2013-14. And over again, I emphasized greater participation among all voters by using expanded absentee voting tools and abilities, including expanding our permanent EB list, educational programs that HOMTV provided, informational articles, voter registration drives, and speaking about it at board meetings. Probably enough of people are getting sick of hearing about it, but we see that society did catch up with that, and by now we have an absentee voters constituency with the numbers that came in the last election. So I'm very proud of my early adoption of trying to push for absentee voting and the success of it in the township, along with getting all new election equipment in 2016 via the grants that the state of Michigan were able to provide through my application process. Finally, I also want to mention my fight for aspects of the clerk thing that have nothing to do necessarily with what I just mentioned, but in general, certain issues that came up, and again, there's so many over a 12-year period. Master plan, fighting over concepts of what's good density, what is appropriate growth, and all those things. But I'm just going to point out a couple of key things that I'm super proud of. I was a strong supporter and one of the key initiators, along with Trustee Wilson, for our anti-discrimination ordinance that we passed back in 2014. That was another pivotal moment in our evolution as a community and how we think. The anti-discrimination ordinance protected the LGBT community from discrimination in a variety of capacities. I'm very proud of the memorial-based service that was alluded to. That was a uniting aspect of our community. We got 100 plus people through Meridian Community Band and many staff members, fire department, police department, and different employees and community members come together once a year to honor those who fought and died for our freedoms. And that was a unifying event for our community. And I encourage our new clerk to continue that tradition, as it is completely led by the clerk's office with the help and assistance of our public works department and the other departments I was mentioning. I'm also want to thank some individuals real quickly, including John Veenstra, passed away back in 2017. Trustee Veenstra was a strong supporter. He helped to get me involved in politics. And even though he and I didn't agree on everything, he was a unique personality, a strong, passionate individual, and in some ways a role model, and in some ways just a wonderful addition to our community. And I'm sorry that he passed, and I'm grateful for what he passed on through me and my interactions with him. I'm also grateful for Sue McGillicuddy, our long established supervisor and a long person on the board. She herself also did a lot to help to improve our community. She transcended political partisanship. She took unpopular positions that Republicans did not like about environmental conservation. She took unpopular positions that Democrats didn't like. So she was her own woman. She showed what strong female leadership is all about, and she didn't buckle because she didn't see popularity to be liked. And so I admire the qualities that Sue McGillicuddy gave to Meridian Township, and I'll always be in debt for her and the things that I learned by working with her. I also want to thank Lynn Ockberg, Rick Foster, and there's many others that had influenced me along the way, but contributed a lot to what has gone on here over the last 20 years. The final aspect of my role as clerk involved transparency and open government, the Open Meetings Act, and all of those aspects of government. And I fought for transparency and openness in all aspects of our government, through how we operate our township board meetings, through our minutes, through township manager, through the administration, through staff, through boards and commissions, through all of us, individually and collectively. And that was not always popular. I didn't make friends sometimes for my pushing certain issues, some concerns about how we either comply or don't comply. And I felt like I had to do what was right, even if it didn't make me popular at various times. But I'm grateful for the opportunity to be in the role to try to help make these things happen and raise the consciousness of my citizens and my fellow elected people and everybody else that has served in the township. And in conclusion, I want to say two things. Number one, I welcome Deb Guthrie as the new clerk. I wish her well, success in her role, and I'm confident that she will lead the office and in the right directions and into capable hands for the future. Welcome aboard. And secondly, I want to just say for my final summary, and thanks to the citizens, and thanks to people like Neil Bowlby and Lenny Provincia for being what I call citizen activists, and many others who go without mention, and many of the boards and commissions as well. I want to say thank you to everybody that I worked with, both internally and externally, and I personally have learned much. I've grown and evolved on many levels, both on an inner level, on a personal level, on an emotional level, and on a professional level. And for that, I will be eternally grateful. So when I tell everybody who takes the sacred oath that I've been giving for years, I say, go forth and do good.